might be surprising to some to hear that I never grew up around religion or spirituality. I was an only child, and my household was ignostic. Not agnostic, which is when you are undecided about whether God exists or not, but ignostic, as in ignorant of that question. As in, it wasn't even a question that factored into my mindset until much later in my life. It's not to say that I had no opinions about the existence of God. It's more that it was a moot point. It was irrelevant. It was mental speculation, and I never felt that it had any real bearing on my life. I only started considering the big questions, and of course, primary among these is the question of God, the nature of God, whether God exists, and if it does exist, what is it? I didn't start considering these types of questions until my parents decided to join a religious organization known to most of you as the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I was 21 when they did this, so after 21 years of agnostic living, my parents started to study the Bible with a Jehovah's Witness that my dad knew through his work, and within a year they were getting dipped in the pool. So, being a supportive son and a fairly open-minded person at that point in my life, I visited the kingdom halls with my parents. I studied the Bible with their friends. I opened myself up to the possibility that this might be the truth with a capital T, because that's what they call their faith. They call it the truth. They say that they're in the truth, or when they talk about people like me, they say that you're worldly, which means you're not in the truth, or you don't have the truth. So I did this for a number of years, and of course, I didn't convert. I wasn't convinced. I liked a lot of the things that they did. I liked a lot of the things that they said, or at least I thought I did at the time. I realize now in hindsight that it was more certain values or certain qualities that I admired, and not anything to do with their actual teachings. In retrospect, I can't really find anything valuable in the Jehovah's Witness interpretation of the Bible that I couldn't find with any other Christian sect. In other words, the wisdom that they communicate through the words of Jesus and through little bits and pieces of the Old Testament are the same across most of the Christian sects. And then where the Jehovah's Witnesses deviate from traditional or more traditional doctrines, there isn't a whole lot to be found there. So I appreciated what appeared to be the close-knit nature of their group. The fact that everyone was very kind and very loving, generous, always willing to help you out. I've heard that this is called love bombing, and it's a way that outsiders are brought into the group. But I saw it even among members of the group, so people who are already Jehovah's Witnesses. I saw a lot of acts of generosity and a lot of kindness, and it made me see a different side of religion that I never considered. It made me see some of the benefits of being part of a religious group. I think ultimately it's what planted the seeds for me, because in later years I started to crave that same sense of community and that same close-knitness and like-mindedness. So that's what set me off to look for a home of my own. And that's how I found the Unitarian Universalists. So in a roundabout way, my parents and their conversion to the Jehovah's Witness doctrines is directly related to the fact that I am now a part of the Unitarian Universalist Church. But anyways, so it's something which has had an impact on my life, and I can very much relate to former Jehovah's Witnesses, because I feel in a strange way that I'm kind of like that myself. Not that I was ever fully immersed in it or even a member of the faith, but I feel that I had a close relationship with members of their organizations, and then now I don't, and now I'm as far away from them as I could possibly be. So I've been following a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on YouTube. I've been following and participating in the ex-JW subreddit. I've met a lot of really nice people there. And again, I can totally relate to a lot of the stuff that they say, especially when it comes down to the intricacies of the doctrines and how it's such a tangled web that the Jehovah's Witnesses weave when it comes down to their beliefs and their interpretations of the Bible. I can definitely relate to those types of videos because I had so many debates and full-blown arguments with not only my parents but some of their friends. And of course it was always more tame with their friends, but with my parents it was no holds barred. And in later years, before my parents and I fell out of contact, we had some really good ones, and I began to realize sort of the full extent of their cult programming and the way that it's done. And I'm learning more and more of it as I go because I'm following all these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And, you know, I still hope to get my parents out of there one day. But ultimately, if you watch my videos, you know what I believe. Only they can free themselves, and I can't do much about it. Ultimately, they have to make that decision. So that's it for me. Thanks for listening to my little story, and live well, my friends.